I never expected to be humiliated at a wedding. Not just anyone's wedding, my wife's brother's. And not just humiliated, erased. That night, everything I thought I knew about loyalty, love, and respect burned to ashes under the heat of a chandelier and fake smiles. They seated me in the damn kitchen. Not a metaphorical one. An actual staff room with folding chairs, a scratched-up plastic table, and a half-empty tray of shrimp cocktail. No name card. No wine. Just the echo of silverware clinking in the grand hall beyond the swinging doors. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Maybe the planner messed up. Maybe there was a joke I wasn't in on. Then her brother, Brad, big-jawed, overconfident, born with a trust fund, stepped in, lifted his glass of bourbon, and sneered like the smug punk he's always been. The help eats in the kitchen. He laughed. Loudly. The kind of laugh that expects others to follow. And they did. My wife, Claire, standing next to him in a dress I paid for, her smile laced with venom, her champagne barely raised. That was the moment. The snap. I nodded. Calmly. No scene. No rage. I just took out my phone and called James, my CFO. I didn't even leave the kitchen. Cancel the Atlas deal, I said. Effective immediately. James paused. All 100 mil? All of it. When I stepped back into the hall, the laughter died in waves, one face at a time. Bradston's cheeks went paper white. Claire's lips parted like she just saw a ghost in heels. Brad stammered, W8, Atlas Industries? I leaned in, close enough to smell the $300 scotch on his breath. You really didn't know? I whispered. Atlas is mine. Always was. Then I walked out. But that night, that was just the tip of the blade. Because the moment I got home, I noticed something. Something small. Stupid, really. Her necklace was gone. Not the fancy ones I gave her. No, this was a cheap silver thing. Some little charm dangling from it. She'd worn it every day for the past 2 months, claiming it was from a boutique near her yoga studio. It was missing. For the first time. And Claire? She got home 3 hours later. No apology for the wedding mess. No mention of what happened. Just strolled in, tossed her heels like she owned the floor, and flopped onto the couch with her phone glowing. Had to stay for the after party, she said, not looking up. I sat across from her. Silent. Watching. You were quiet tonight, she added after a while, finally glancing up. Yeah, I said. Lot on my mind. Oh, she tilted her head like she gave a damn. Work stuff. I didn't answer. Just watched her fingers tap away at her screen. Her fake laugh. Her overly sweet tone when someone texted her. Then, just for a second, she smiled. A real one. That small, wicked, private kind. Not for me. I decided to let it fester. Next morning, I left early. I didn't go to the office. I went to her yoga studio. Didn't exist. The address led to a brick building downtown, floors under renovation. No signage. Just dust and silence. I waited in my car across the street. 3 hours. Nothing. Then, at exactly 1:24 p.m., a black Porsche pulled up. Claire stepped out. Different outfit. Heels. Makeup like she was headed for a red carpet. She kissed the driver on the cheek, bold, quick, like it was routine, and disappeared into a side entrance with him. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just breathed. I followed the Porsche when it left 2 hours later. Same driver. Some tanned, slick-haired guy. Aviators. Looked like he wanted to be in a cologne ad. License plate said ALPH4. Of course. His name? Blake. Blake Carter. CEO of Carter Lux Fitness. One of our competitors. One of the bastards I'd actually helped during the pandemic. Loaned him gear, offered warehouse space. The nerve. The real kicker? When I got back home that night, Claire was in the kitchen, baking. Something she never did. Thought I'd surprise you, she said, like nothing happened. You looked stressed yesterday. I smiled. But inside, I was boiling in acid. And that's when I knew this wasn't just a one-time thing. This was a game. And Claire? She wasn't just playing. She thought she'd already won. The next morning, I acted like nothing had happened. Kissed her forehead, made some dry joke about the cake being surprisingly edible. Claire giggled like a teenager, brushing flour off her hip like she was June Cleaver. Inside, I was rewinding that kiss in the parking lot, the one she gave Blake, casual, intimate, habitual. She left for a brunch meeting with the girls, and I waited exactly 7 minutes before I got in the car and followed her. No surprise, the Porsche was already parked 2 blocks from the bistro she supposedly reserved. He got out, handed her coffee, and she leaned against him like they were rehearsing some bad rom-com scene. Then she dragged him by the wrist into a boutique hotel like she was doing him a favor. 43 minutes. That's how long they were in there. I sat in my car and stared at the digital clock, thinking about how many times she looked me in the eyes and lied. How many nights she came home, curled up next to me, and said, "I missed you today." When she got home that afternoon, she tossed her purse on the chair and gave me that same line. I asked how brunch went. She said, "Delicious." I nodded, then asked her if Kelly was still on that weird vegan kick. She blinked, stumbled, said, "Oh yeah, totally, tofu everything." Kelly had been in Spain for 2 weeks. She didn't even bother keeping the lies straight. That night, I poured myself a drink and stared at her across the kitchen island as she scrolled Instagram. I asked her if she was happy. She said, "Of course, babe," then smiled like nothing could crack the mask. I had the hotel receipt by morning. Blake had paid with his company card. Idiot. I printed it, slipped it into an envelope, left it on the bed. Then I packed a small overnight bag, told her I had to meet with a vendor upstate. She barely looked up. "Don't forget your charger," she said. I didn't forget anything. I didn't go upstate. I drove to the old lake house my father left me before he passed. No Wi-Fi, no service, just peace and splinters. I needed 48 hours away from the sound of her voice, from the scent of her perfume on every pillow. When I came back, she was crying on the phone in the hallway, whispering. I stood at the door, listening. "No, I don't think he suspects anything. It's fine, he's clueless." A pause. "Yeah, I'll see you Monday." "I can't tonight. He's back." I stepped inside like I hadn't heard a thing. She hung up so fast she nearly dropped the phone. "Oh hey," she said, voice too high, too quick. "You're early." "Yeah," I replied. "Vendor canceled." I watched her pretend to care for the next 10 minutes, asking about the trip, what I ate, what time I left, like we were still playing house. When she went to shower, I checked her phone. Of course it was locked, but she was lazy, still used her birthday as the passcode. Her message thread with Blake made me nauseous. Photos, comments, schedules, plans, a full-on fantasy life. She'd sent him a picture of my side of the bed with the caption, "It still smells like him, EW." I sat there staring at the screen like it wasn't real. But it was. I didn't explode. I didn't scream. I just set the phone down, left the house, and drove to my lawyer's place. He owed me a favor. A big one. Helped him out of a bad merger years ago. Told him to draw up papers. Quietly. I wanted her to feel safe. Just a little longer. Let her think she had the upper hand. Then I called my private investigator. Told him to follow Blake. Record everything. That was the beginning of the end. I was done being her punching bag in a tailored suit. I slept like a rock that night. First time in weeks. The decision had settled in my bones. It felt final. Clean. And still, the next morning, she had the gall to wake me with a kiss on the cheek. "Happy Friday," she whispered. "You want pancakes?" "Sure," I said. But what I wanted was for the fire to start. Saturday morning, the doorbell rang. Claire was in the shower, humming some trashy pop song, probably still high on the thrill of cheating. I opened the door to find Marcus, my private investigator, standing there in a windbreaker, holding a flash drive and a manila folder. No words. Just a nod and a look that said it's all here. I slipped him an envelope, $5,000 in cash, and shut the door. Inside the folder were time-stamped photos. Claire and Blake at the same hotel on 3 different dates, once even during the day of our anniversary. Her in that red dress I bought her last Christmas, legs wrapped around him in the hotel lobby like she was proud of it. And the videos? Crystal clear. Blake pulling her close by the waist, whispering in her ear. Her laughing, melting into his arms. She wasn't even trying to hide anymore. I watched it all alone in my home office, the blinds shut, heart thumping like a slow drumbeat. Then I opened the flash drive. A video. 1 minute and 12 seconds. Claire stepping out of the hotel room, hair messy, blouse undone, heels in hand, kissing Blake goodbye. She turned back toward the camera and winked. She winked. Like it was a game. Like she knew someone might be watching and didn't care. I sat in silence for a full hour after that. No tears. Just a storm inside my skull. I remembered every damn time she told me I was distant. Every night she turned away in bed. Every moment she made me feel like I was the one falling short. She wasn't bored. She was already gone. When she finally came out of the shower wrapped in a towel, face fresh, eyes fake sparkling, she said, "We should go out tonight. We haven't had a date night in forever." I almost laughed. "Yeah," I said. "That sounds nice." We went to a steakhouse downtown. Our usual. She wore a black silk dress and heels too high for comfort. Throughout dinner, she acted like she was trying to win a trophy for best wife in public. Laughing, touching my hand, toasting to us. I played along, smiled, kissed her fingers, let her think everything was normal. But that was the last night I'd ever fake it. 2 days later, I walked into our shared office, the one she barely used, and found her on a video call. Her laptop screen reflected off the glass wall. It was Blake. She had the nerve to call him from our home. While she wore my hoodie, I didn't say a word, just stood behind the wall like a ghost, listening. She told him I'd be gone next weekend, that they'd have the house to themselves. She even giggled when he joked about using our bedroom, just to mess with me. I recorded the entire call with my phone, every slimy second. When she hung up and saw me standing there, her face dropped like a mask peeling off. "Oh, hey, I was just talking to Kelly," she stuttered. "You mean Kelly with the six-pack and a Porsche?" I asked. Dead silence. Then she tried the usual switch-up. "I don't like your tone right now." I stepped forward, calm as death. "I saw the hotel videos, Claire. All of them. I saw the texts. I saw everything." She blinked, mouth opened, then shut again. "Wait, were you spying on me?" I chuckled. "UF asterisk 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 ed someone else in our bed and you're the one who feels violated?" Then the switch really flipped. Her eyes narrowed, voice like venom. "You never gave me what I needed. You were always buried in work. You stopped caring." I laughed. Hard. Bitter. "I stopped caring? I built you an entire life. Every dress, every necklace, every damn vacation. We breathed luxury because I never stopped caring." She rolled her eyes. "So what, now you're gonna play victim?" "Boo-hoo. Rich husband got cheated on." That was it. The moment I saw the truth for what it was. She didn't feel guilty. She felt untouchable. "Not playing anything," I said. "Just letting you know, your game's over." That night, I slept in the guest room, locked the door, laid awake staring at the ceiling. In the morning, her side of the bed was empty. So was the closet. Half her clothes gone. No note. Just silence. She thought she was escaping the fallout, but she had no idea what was coming next. 3 days passed. No texts. No calls. Not a single fake apology. Claire was gone, probably living her fantasy life in some overpriced apartment Blake leased to impress her. She probably thought I'd spiral, that I'd beg her to come back, offer therapy, make a fool of myself like some spineless sitcom husband. Instead, I met with my lawyer and activated the clause we'd added to our prenup 6 years ago, the infidelity trigger. I'd almost forgotten we even had it. Claire sure did. See, when she first brought up getting a prenup, she made it all about me. "You have so many assets," she'd said. "Let's make it fair in case something happens." She wanted 30% if we ever divorced. I agreed, but I added a clause. If either party was unfaithful, that 30% would revert to zero. Guess who just got downgraded to zero? My lawyer filed everything. Quietly. No warning. No arguments. Just cold paperwork delivered to her new address. An address I knew thanks to Marcus, who had eyes on her 24/7 now. But the court documents weren't the only thing she got that week. I made sure Blake's board of investors received an anonymous package, full-color prints of their hotel visits, along with a polite letter reminding them that Carter Lux Fitness had just violated 3 ethics clauses in their funding agreement. Turns out one of Blake's investors was a family man, a big donor to conservative campaigns. They weren't amused. Blake's Instagram went dark that night. His gym stock dipped by 18% the next morning. Claire called me by noon. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She said, "We need to talk." I told her I'd meet her in public. A quiet cafe. Neutral ground. She showed up in sunglasses and a coat 2 sizes too big. No makeup. Like she knew the world wasn't hers anymore. I didn't stand when she arrived. She sat down and folded her hands on the table like she was in court. "I messed up," she said. No fake tears. No baby. Just flat. Like she was reading from a manual. I stared at her. Messed up? I wasn't thinking straight. Blake made me feel seen. Like I didn't? I said, leaning forward. "Every room we ever walked into, I let you shine first. Every party, every fundraiser, you were the queen. But that wasn't enough, was it? You wanted to be worshipped." She looked away. I felt invisible. "You chose to disappear." We sat in silence for a long time. Then she finally asked it. "Is there any chance we can fix this?" I almost laughed. "Claire, you tried to turn me into your personal clown. You let your brother humiliate me at his wedding. You mocked me to your lover in my own home. You lied to my face with a smile. And now, after all that, you think this is fixable." She opened her mouth. Closed it. "No," I said. "There's no coming back. Not from this." She reached across the table like that would change something. "I still love you." I pulled my hand away. "You don't even love yourself." I stood up and left her sitting there, alone, just like she deserved. By the time I got home, Marcus had sent me one final update. Blake's company was suspending him. Public statement incoming. Claire's name had been scrubbed from every social media account he ran. She'd been ghosted. She lost her man. She lost her lifestyle. She lost me. And I didn't lift a finger in rage. Just precision. Later that night, I poured myself a scotch and stood on the balcony, watching the city lights blink like silent applause. For the first time in months, I felt light. Not because I'd won, but because she finally lost. A week passed. Then another. The silence became my friend. Claire tried a few more times. A drunk voicemail on a Thursday night. A sobbing call at 3 a.m. that I let ring until it cut to silence. One desperate email titled, "You don't understand." I didn't open it. I understood more than enough. I was finally living in truth, and truth was brutal, but clean. One afternoon, I walked into Atlas HQ. The staff hadn't seen me in weeks. They stood when I entered. Not because I asked them to, but because they remembered who built this empire from scratch. The boardroom was full. I took my seat at the head of the table, adjusted my cufflinks, and said only this: "We're cutting all future Carter Lux collaborations. Effective immediately. Find a new partner by Friday. No questions. No hesitation." They nodded. And just like that, Claire's entire world vanished from my ecosystem. The ripple was permanent. Later that day, I stopped by the warehouse. My lead foreman, Tony, clapped me on the shoulder and handed me a small box. "Found this in the delivery van. Thought you should be the one to see it." I opened the box right there. Inside was the silver necklace. The one Claire used to wear every damn day. The cheap one. The charm looked dull now, lifeless. There was a small, folded note attached with 2 words scrawled in handwriting I'd memorized too well. "I'm sorry." That night, I drove to the old lake house. Parked. Sat on the dock with a bottle of bourbon and that necklace hanging off my finger. Sorry. The word bounced around in my skull like a joke told too late. Sorry doesn't unbruise trust. Sorry doesn't rewind every fake smile, every lie, every time she climbed into his car without shame. Sorry doesn't rebuild what she smashed into pieces just for a taste of something new. I tossed the necklace into the lake and watched it sink without a splash. Some things don't deserve second chances. Some things don't deserve breath. A few days later, the divorce was finalized. No court drama. No public battle. Just ink drying on paper, signatures delivered by courier. Claire tried to stall, of course. Claimed she had things to say. But the prenup spoke louder than she ever did. She walked away with her name. That's it. She sent one final message through her lawyer. I hope someday you'll forgive me. I gave no answer. The weekend after, I threw a private dinner party for the Atlas team. No press, no media. Just real people. The ones who stuck around when I was being played like a background character in my own life. During the toast, James raised his glass and said, "To rebirth." I smiled. Not because of revenge, but because I was free. Free from the illusion. From her voice in my ear. From the weight of pretending we were still something real. The kind of freedom that doesn't come with fireworks or applause, just quiet air and your heartbeat finally back in rhythm. In the weeks that followed, I took meetings, booked a trip to Morocco, read 5 books I'd been putting off for years. I laughed. I ate alone without checking my phone. I opened windows just to smell the air. And I slept. Deep, heavy sleep. One morning, while jogging through Central Park, I saw a couple ahead of me. He held her hand tight. She leaned into his shoulder. Real, simple connection. No cameras. No masks. And for a moment, I wondered if I'd ever have that again. Maybe. Maybe not. But I'd rather be alone in truth than loved in a lie. Because betrayal doesn't just steal trust, it poisons memory. Still, I healed. Not with a rebound. Not with rage. But with silence. And distance. And power reclaimed. My advice to any man reading this? When a woman shows you who she really is, believe her the first time. When the smile doesn't match the eyes, when the apologies come laced with excuses, when her words feel like sugar and ash at the same time. Walk away. Let her drown in the chaos she created. And don't look back. 6 months went by. My world looked different. Quieter, cleaner, sharper. The fake had been stripped out, burned down, and left behind like a bad smell after rain. I spent my mornings boxing, my afternoons building Atlas into something even leaner, stronger, more ruthless. And at night, I'd sit on that same balcony with a drink, the city humming like it owed me a favor. I didn't think about Claire much anymore. But every once in a while, something would hit. A smell. A song. A flicker of a memory that didn't sting anymore, just pulsed dull and distant like an old scar under the skin. Until the night she showed up at my door. No warning. No call. Just her standing there in a beige coat, eyes hollow, makeup worn like a mask that stopped fitting months ago. "Hi," she said. I didn't move. Didn't open the door wide. Just leaned on the frame, silent. She looked thinner. Tired. Like the world she ran toward turned out to be nothing but cardboard and shadows. "Can we talk?" I raised an eyebrow. "About what?" Her lip twitched. "Everything." I stepped outside, closing the door behind me. I wasn't about to let that energy crawl back into my space. She looked surprised. "You're not even going to let me in?" "No," I said, flat. "We'll talk here." She fumbled. "I've been going to therapy. I've been working on myself." "Good," I said. "You should have started a year ago." "I lost everything," she whispered. I didn't flinch. "You threw everything away. There's a difference." She stared at me for a long moment, eyes glimmering with what might have been real pain. Or just desperation. "Blake ghosted me," she finally admitted. "Of course he did." I almost smiled, but didn't. "He used you. You thought you were climbing into a new kingdom. Turns out it was a rental car with a broken GPS." She swallowed hard. "I made a mistake." "You made a choice," I corrected. Repeatedly. Happily. Boldly. "Don't soften it now because it didn't work out." She stepped closer, and I took a step back. "I don't want money," she said. "I don't want to hurt you anymore. I wanted to say I see it now. I know what I did." The old me might have cracked. Might have heard that echo of the woman I once loved, buried under 6 layers of betrayal. But that version of me was dead. "Thanks," I said. "Now leave." "Please," she whispered. "Just one dinner. One night. No expectations. Just let me say everything I never said." "You said plenty," I replied. "Every lie, every insult, every time you let me feel like I wasn't enough. Those were all speeches, Claire. I heard you loud and clear." She looked like she wanted to cry, or scream, or beg, maybe all 3. But she didn't. She turned and walked away. That was the last time I saw her. A month later, I got an envelope from her lawyer. Not asking for anything, just a letter. Inside was a page covered in her handwriting. Regret. Memories. Apologies. A plea for forgiveness, not as a wife, but as a human being who burned everything she touched. I didn't respond. I folded it back into the envelope and locked it in the bottom drawer of my desk. Not because I wanted to keep it, but because it reminded me of who I was and what I survived. And now? Now I live like I owe nothing to anyone who couldn't handle the weight of my love. I travel. I invest in people who see me. I laugh more. I sit in silence without needing to fill it. And every now and then, someone will ask me if I'm seeing anyone. Not yet. But if I ever do, it won't be someone like Claire. Because once you've been to war, you don't fall for fireworks. You wait for the quiet. For truth. For someone who doesn't flinch when you say, "I've been broken." Because now I know, the right woman doesn't walk into your life expecting a throne. She walks in with her own crown and builds a kingdom next to yours. The end. The fire she started never touched me in the end. It burned everything she had, everything she thought she controlled, her image, her pride, her false narrative. But me? I walked out of the flames cleaner than I went in. She gambled a kingdom for a cheap thrill and lost both. I didn't get revenge. I got freedom. And if you're a man reading this, if you're sitting in the dark wondering how she could do it, why she did it, what you missed, listen closely. You missed nothing. You gave love. She gave illusion. You offered truth. She played pretend. You stood steady. She chased shadows. It's not on you to fix a woman who chose to lie when she had loyalty sitting right in front of her. So pick your pride up off the floor. Straighten your back. Stop replaying every kiss, every laugh, every time she said, "It's not what it looks like." It was. You saw it. And now you know what you're made of. Because after betrayal, there's one final gift no cheater ever sees coming. Clarity. Sharp. Cold. Beautiful. And with it, a simple truth. She was never worthy. But you always were. And that is how the story ends.